Imagine your story, what will you be today? A princess in a pretty dress, or a knight that saves the day? Come, let's run, play, pretend all day to imagine your story today.
Hey kids, welcome to our new online summer program here at Auburndale Public Library. I'm Miss Rhonda.
I'm Miss Isabella.
And our theme this year is Imagine Your Story.
Like fairy tales with dragons and knights and princesses too.
So let's get started. We want to thank Macmillan Publishing for letting us read this story, The Princess Knight, that was written by Cornelia Funk and illustrated by Kirsten Meyer. King Wilfrid the Worthy had 3 sons. He brought them up just as his father had brought him up, and they were taught all the things he was taught. He wanted them to be better than his best knights. They learned riding and jousting, fighting with swords, and good table manners too. They learned how to stride around proudly and how to shout very loudly. And perhaps most important for princes, they learned how to give orders to their nursemaids, their servants, their dogs, and their horses. Then Queen Violetta had a daughter, but the queen died when the baby was born, so the little girl was called Violetta. No one would dare tell the king how to do anything, especially how to raise his little girl. So he decided to teach her the same lessons that he had taught his sons. Even though she was so small, she could hardly lift a sword at all. Her brothers teased her and called her names. Itsy bitsy little Vi, little girl can't hurt a fly. And they would boast that they were so strong, even the most spirited horse would obey them. Then they'd strike the heads off practice dummies so hard that the heads would fly right over the castle walls. And they would laugh and laugh at their little sister as she struggled to mount a horse in her heavy armor, as if it were the funniest thing they'd ever seen. "Oh, Emma," said Violetta to her nursemaid one evening, while Emma smoothed the little girl's bruises, "I'll never be as strong as my brothers." "Not as strong, maybe, but you are 3 times as clever," said Emma sensibly. "Why not ask your father to stop teaching you all this silly fighting and let you learn something else instead? Embroidery, perhaps, or weaving, maybe playing the flute, something useful?" But Violetta shook her head. "No, no, no," she said. "That would only make my brothers laugh louder." So Emma said no more, for she knew the princess was more determined than all the 3 princes put together. From that night on, Violetta slipped out of the castle in secret, while the rose gardener's son kept watch for her. She started to practice all the things her brothers could already do so much better. Violetta practiced in her own way, without shouting and without using her spurs. Indeed, she was very quiet about it, as quiet as the night itself. So while her brothers grew as tall and strong as King Wilfrid's knights, Violetta, who stayed quite small, got better at fighting and riding every day, and her father's horses loved to carry her on their backs. Violetta became so nimble and quick that when her 3 brothers practiced jousting with her, their spears and swords just hit the empty air, and the princes soon stopped laughing at her, and they stopped calling her Itsy Bitsy Little Vi. Then came the day before Violetta's 16th birthday, and the king asked to see her. "Violetta," said King Wilfrid, "I'm going to hold a jousting tournament in honor of your birthday. The victory prize will bring the bravest knights in the land flocking to the castle." "Well, what will be the prize, Father?" said Violetta. wondering which horse she would ride, which of her suits of armor would be the lightest, and which plume she would wear in her helmet. "The prize," said King Wilfrid, "will be your hand in marriage. So put on your finest gown and practice your prettiest smile." Ugh! Violetta turned as red as the roses beside the castle moat. "What?" she cried. "You want me to marry some dimwit in a tin suit? Just look at your own knights. They whip their horses and they can't even write their own names." Her father was so angry that he locked Violetta up in the castle tower all by herself. Not until the moon was shining high in the sky did the king tell Violetta's youngest brother to let her out. "Stop crying, little sister," said Violetta's brother. "I'll make sure to win the tournament myself. You certainly can't marry me." But Violetta shook her head and wiped her eyes on the hem of her dress. "Thank you," she said, "but I think I'd better just see to this myself." The next day, the field behind the castle was crowded with knights who had come to fight in the tournament. King Wilfrid sat down to watch. Little did he know that it wasn't Violetta who sat beside him. It was her nursemaid, Emma. She wore Violetta's best dress and veil over her face. The real Violetta had put on her blackest armor and saddled her favorite horse. She rode into the arena with the other knights and gave her title as Sir No Name. Trumpets sounded, and the tournament to win the princess's hand began. Knight after knight rode into the arena. Sigurd the Strong, Harold the Hardy, Percy the Pitiless, but Sir No Name defeated them all. He even knocked the king's sons off their horses and into the dust. By the end, there was no one left who was willing to fight, and Sir No Name rode over to the king to receive the victory prize. "Where do you come from, Sir No Name?" asked the king. "You have brought honor to your family, and my daughter should think herself lucky to take your hand in marriage." "Oh, I don't think so," said Sir No Name, raising his helmet. "Hello, father," said Violetta. "What's the prize for a princess knight?" And for the first time in his life, her father, the king, was speechless. Violetta turned to the defeated knights, sitting battered and bruised on their horses. "Very well," she said, "I shall choose my own prize. I hereby proclaim that no one will ever win Princess Violetta's hand in marriage without first defeating Sir No Name." Then she turned on her horse and rode away, far, far away, and she didn't return for a year and a day. And when she did, why, her father, King Wilfrid the Worthy, gave her a horse as black as her armor, and nobody, not even her brothers, challenged the princess ever again. And who did she marry? Well, if you must know, many years later, she married the rose gardener's son and lived happily ever after. And now, Imagine Your Story Challenge. We are challenging you this week to come up with an ending to our story, The Princess Knight. Did she really marry the rose gardener's son, or did something else happen? We want to know what you think. Write me a paragraph or draw me a picture, and we will be sharing some of those throughout the summer. Now, you can get that to us by bringing it by the library, or you can email it to libraryprogram@auburndalefl.com. Can't wait to see what you've got.
Everybody, so for today's craft, we're going to be making a shield. And so what you're going to need is all going to be coming into your summer craft bag. We are going to have one giant super big shield. We are going to have some pieces of paper. We are going to have a wrist strap to put on the back of your shield so that you can hold it up. And then we are going to have a couple of symbols that you can tape on. So let's get started. So for step one, we're going to lay our shield down flat. We're going to grab our pieces of construction paper and lay them down however you want them to go. And make sure they're flat and nice and ready to glue or tape down. And when you're gluing stuff down, make sure you get it all around the edges and you can lay it down nice and flat. And now we're going to take our symbols and we're going to put them all down on the shield. You can either use tape or glue, and you can position them however you want them. There, right there. And now for our final step, we are going to make our wrist strap. You're going to take the paper and wrap it around your wrist. Whoop. As small as you need it. And you're going to take tape or glue and push down those sides. Just like that. And we're going to flip our shield over and you're going to put it right in the middle. And you can, again, either use glue or tape. And we're going to use some pieces of tape just to get it down. And now that you're done with your shield, with your colors and symbols already, it's time to be a knight. Miss Rhonda, have you seen Paige, our library fairy, today?
Not today, but she's always up to mischief.
She sure is. I wonder what story she's gotten into today. And for our summer reading program this year, we are going to have a very fun bingo sheet that'll be in your DIY summer bag. All you have to do is get 5 across, up and down, or diagonal. And once you have bingo, stop on by Auburndale Public Library to get a prize from the treasure box.
We also found a fun online resource for you, GoNoodle.com. And it's got a lot of fun games that you can play inside or outside, get you moving, just shake those sillies out. And first though, you need to get a parent. You need to get their permission, and that way you can get started on some great summer fun at GoNoodle.com. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We'll see you back here Wednesday, June 24th.
And don't forget to pick up your weekly summer bags and to submit your endings for the Imagine Your Story Challenge. See ya.
Bye.